starting at 9:04. Joined today by Bobby Gomes. 2 hours NBA DFS conversation, taking y'all straight up the lock. We're here for the first hour and 25 or so. Then we will be handing it off to the Crunch Time crew. Bobby, how are things in your world? Big, busy sports weekend we're coming off, of course. Some football. It wasn't spectacular, but, if you had the winners, doesn't matter, right? Who really cares how ugly it was? The Royal Rumble, we talked about that pre-show. You didn't seem terribly enthused about that conversation.
I haven't watched wrestling since I was like 9. I was a big fan when I was 9, but
who was your guy at 9?
I love DX. DX was they were my favorite.
That lines up. That makes sense.
Did you want me to come in with the Macho Man glasses or what? Here, I mean, I can do it. Ooh, yeah.
I was going to say, everybody can do at least a bad Macho Man impression. Do you have a bad Macho Man impression in you?
I mean, I had to do a whole promo video as Macho Man for Spike Week this offseason. So if you go dig that up,
I feel like I saw that in Twitter. I feel like I did run across that. That was pretty good.
Yeah, we did quite a few different wrestling things. But now I forever have the Macho Man sunglasses over here.
Snap into a Slim Jim, according to the chat. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Who's doing Slim Jims now? Is it still some random wrestler? I don't know who's promoting. How do I know what meat to buy these days if no wrestler is going to tell me, steer me in the right direction? Do they have a spokesperson these days? Slim Jim?
I'm not positive. I haven't eaten a Slim Jim in over a decade. I couldn't tell you.
It almost lines up when the advertising may have stopped with wrestling. They're not great. Yeah, if you're going to have beef jerky, don't get a Slim Jim. Come on.
Did you watch that CIA video, the conspiracy theory video that
I clicked
on Twitter? It's not really a conspiracy theory. It's not. It's just it's like an engagement farming title.
Yeah, you sent me it, and I was just afraid, and I was like, I don't know what I just opened, and then I thought maybe now I don't know what now. There's a now my laptop thinks it's going to start feeding me. There's an algorithm now on YouTube. It's going to keep popping up, I suppose. But should I watch that? Is that worth watching?
You should watch that. That's very good. The Y files. It's about pole shift theory.
Okay. I don't know about pole shifts, to be honest.
I don't think we want to know about pole shifts, but interesting to kind of dig it.
All right. What's up, Bobby? Anything as far as the weekend that you want to touch on? We have a pretty big slate, 8-gamer. Plenty of time to knock that as well, obviously. Hey, what's up, chat? Kindly hit that like button. Subscribe.
How did you feel about the ending of that game last night?
I think it's a really crummy way to end a football game, but I think the ref was just put in a position to make a crummy call, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah, I felt the same. There's obviously a foul there, but you have to keep that flag in your pocket, I think.
You're saying it should not have been thrown.
Shouldn't have been thrown. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people angry on Twitter, and I see a lot of people angry about some holding calls. And I mean, look, you can always find holding calls if you want to find holding calls, for sure. And I'm not saying that didn't happen. And there was a block in the back, I believe, on the run back as well for Casey, which you could have called that as well. I don't know, man. But the NFL's cheating. Maybe just looks like they're 50-50 calls and they didn't go a certain way. And I know. If you have rooting interests, did you wager on the game?
I think that take is the NFL doesn't care. The NFL would have rather the Bengals make the Super Bowl. I feel like.
I mean, I think the Kelsey brothers is a good narrative. Mahomes is a big name, obviously.
Yeah, but I feel like Burrow's the most. I feel like Burrow's the most popular in the league currently. He's on the spot. Obviously, everyone knows Mahomes, but it's between Mahomes and Burrow. But I feel like it was a win-win either way.
I mean, I'll tell you, if you're going to have the conspiracies, and I'm not encouraging them, but the NFL probably would not have wanted James Johnson, Josh Johnson to be the quarterback.
Yeah.
They probably would want to avoid that situation. It thankfully didn't come down to it, and it was never even close once the Purdy injury happened. But the chat saying Mahomes flopped. He did. I wouldn't say he flopped. I would say he enhanced that a little bit. He sold it pretty well with the hands out. He took a full-fledged he did sell it. So I'll give him that.
B shot's right though. He was out of bounds, so there was a penalty there, right?
Yeah, I mean it was not like a close call. And if it's a close call, then I understand swallowing the whistle. If you want to do it like hockey rules, overtime, it's got to be egregious to call it that kind of thing. But Purdy diagnosed with a torn UCL, out for 6 months for what it's worth. That just came across the Twitter timeline.
Tom Brady to the 49ers.
Will he be 49 on the 49ers? How old will he be?
He may be. He could be. He could be. I think it's more likely Vegas, but
yeah, there's all sorts of rumors. It's definitely not Tampa. We can agree on that, right?
No, definitely not.
Like he basically gave a goodbye speech.
It's Miami, Vegas, or San Fran.
Yeah, Miami's the weird one because I think they have a pretty good quarterback, but obviously there's some health concerns there. Yeah, I don't really know how it would go down, but it'll be a fun offseason for sure. All right, let's talk about tonight's 8-gamer in the association. Tricky part as far as this slate is like a lot of big names are questionable. We do know about the Lakers stars, both LeBron and Anthony Davis are out, but Luka is questionable, Embiid is questionable. Embiid's 7 o'clock, so we'll know that. If we don't know that, the Crunch Time crew will know that. Against Orlando, Trae Young. It's a very late game, right? Isn't that? Yeah, that's the 10 o'clock game. We don't know about Trae Young. 10 o'clock game. There's a 9 o'clock game with Toronto as far as Toronto Phoenix. Gobert, I think that's a fake questionable. He's been questionable for like 4 games in a row, and Minnesota does goofy things, and he's been playing with the groin, and I assume it's a non-issue, but officially he is questionable. Josh Hart, questionable. Nurkic is questionable, which I think that's important to some degree. And also, I think Capella becomes more interesting. I really think he would eat up that Portland, defense if there is no Nurkic. Ben Simmons is questionable with his knee. Did you see the press conference with Jacques Vaughn talking about Ben Simmons? Were they asking about him?
I did not. What can you give me the breakdown?
Yeah, it was he just kind of gave like a side eye, like basically like almost like mocking the idea that Ben Simmons actually has an injury. Really? Yeah, like they kind of sort of asked him about it, and he kind of gave like this look like, yeah, I guess that's what we're going to call it, but like it didn't look great. I don't know what that means as far as Simmons playing or not playing, but it was just some serious shade he put on Simmons.
Interesting. That's probably why I've seen some projections go up on these other guys, Seth Curry and stuff. We're hitting more the last time I did a run, so
I think we have him in officially. Yeah, we are projecting him in, but I don't know, man. Wouldn't be surprised. And people questions how much he even wants to play. I don't know how fair that is, but people have certainly thrown that out there, and maybe that's what Vaughn was doing. I don't know, but that video was pretty. I mean, it's not often you see the coach just like basically throw your player under the bus. And that's kind of sort of what happened there.
With Ben, in the case of Ben Simmons, though, I feel like it should happen more often. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's a weird case study, man. It's so wild because
he's a strange guy. He's a very strange guy.
And if there's like some, if it's psychological, like who knows? How do you delve into that, and how do you quantify that, and how do you study that, and how much? If he doesn't want to play, then maybe he's just not going to be playing in a few years. Like he could, in 5 years, like theoretically, he could be an all-star, or he could be out of the league.
I remember when this guy was the next LeBron James. Like they were talking about him like he was. We're so far removed at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, but all right. Again, my guess is he doesn't play, but that's just me guessing, watching what I saw in that video, and maybe it's not actually. Who knows what's going on there, basically. But stay tuned. When will we get that news? At 7:30. What is it you're monitoring as far as the slate overall? Obviously, if Luka plays, that's a big deal. It does seem like, if he needs another day, right, he could take another day because he's at home versus Detroit. Detroit is happy to lose. It'll happen organically. They're terrible. They don't need Luka tonight. So maybe if it's 50-50 call, maybe they let him sit, but I don't know. That's an 8:30 game too. So as always, more times than not, it seems like you got to be aware of what's going on injury-wise. We have our what if fired up as well. If this guy is out, all of a sudden who's going to become more popular? That's one of our premium products we offer here at RG. I got that fired up. We'll take a peek at that as we work along, going the game by game. But any general thoughts as far as the slate that you want to get out there before we do the game by game deal?
Yeah, interesting Lakers value with their guys out, LeBron and AD. Also, like this Embiid news, I think is going to be important. If Harrell slides into the starting role, it would be interesting at 4,500. Just because, like, we have value, but it's not like the greatest value outside of the Lakers stuff. And then basically, like, The Luka situation, would it bump Dinwiddie, Hardaway, and Trae Young? Obviously, like DeJounte Murray would get a bump. So that's pretty much it. Like everything you kind of hit off on the top when you started giving the breakdown.
If Luka is out, we have 54 DK points projected for Dinwiddie. Good Lord. That is a huge number. 54. I think it's justified, though. Like, there's a math reason why. 38 minutes, 36 minutes for THJ, 36 DK points, 38 minutes for DFS, 32 fantasy points. Powell becomes a positive play at 27 points as far as his projection. Josh Green would all of a sudden get 33 minutes thrown his way. The Mavericks will become super, super popular. Yeah, and I'm just curious. I wonder when we get that. And that's also important because if Embiid's in, and this is kind of leads into our very first game, if Embiid is in tonight, this Orlando-Philadelphia game, the only game at 7 o'clock, it's very skippable. I think it's very skippable. Of course, if Embiid does what he did against Jokic, you're going to want Embiid and hope you at least like slot him in there, figure out the rest. But as of right now, we're assuming Embiid in. If we take a peek as far as ownership in this game, this is as of 5 o'clock, so 5 minutes ago. We just got a refresh. There is 15% going Embiid's way, and that's basically it. 8% for Banchero on the other side. Cole Anthony getting 6%. This is DK for what it's worth. The other body parts that we're monitoring here, like Orlando's basically fully healthy now. Chuma Okeke is the only one that's not available. Embiid is the only player questionable as far as the Philadelphia side. They are 10-point favorites. It's a 229.5 total. And yeah, what is your approach to this game? Again, Embiid in, Embiid out matters a ton. But if let's just say he's in for the conversation, and I think he'll play. Who knows? Good spot to rest, though, if you want to rest somebody. There's not a lot to love in this game outside of just, Embiid. Sure, always. I believe you are on mute.
You're muted, Bobby.
Oh, sorry. My fault. Yeah, so Orlando's basically the same situation for me every night these last couple of weeks. Banchero, Wagner, Carter, Fultz, these guys would be tournament plays for me. They're not necessities, so you don't want to get too bogged down within like playing them just as a 7 p.m. game on an 8-game slate, but I do think they're viable for tournaments. The Embiid as a low-owned play, I like him. For getting him under 10%. Center is pretty loaded on the slate, so I don't mind differentiating the construction and getting to him that way. And Harden, like you can always play James Harden. He's going to be under 10% owned at 9.8. We have him at 35 minutes. I don't mind him, but they're all pretty much just tournament plays. If Embiid was out, I think that the Magic guys, like a guy like Banchero, would have a better matchup and possibly will be lower owned than what he should be in that scenario. So I think he would be a strong tournament play.
Yeah. Let's just jump to the Magic. How many guys are we projecting to play? Because they have so many dudes these days, with Isaac being back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're giving Mo Bamba just 2 minutes for what it's worth. Remember, Bamba was getting like 30 some nights?
Yeah.
25, 30. Just everybody's healthy. Banchero is like basically the cheapest he's been essentially all season, maybe except for week 1, I want to say. 6.8K on DK. So I don't mind that. And I do agree that he'd be better, like you said, if Embiid doesn't go. But I talked about Banchero last week. Like, if you believe in the such thing as the rookie wall, right? Like, he's not done. He's not had a game where, like, oh, man, I needed to roster Banchero. And how long? It's been a while.
It's been a little bit.
He can use an all-star break, I think. I feel like he can use an all-star break. But 3 for 14 last game, 4 for 14 before that. Yeah, just not spectacular. But again, I don't hate the idea in tournaments. Sure, he's probably the first guy I would play in Orlando. That's like if you're forcing me to pick somebody, right? Somebody's got to win, right? The rest of them, it's a big old mess. And just to touch on, if Embiid is out, don't want to spend too much time on it. But like you said, everybody else gets a boost, assuming that I think we're assuming Harrell is the guy that would draw the start, which makes a ton of sense. And we're giving him 24 minutes, Paul Reed 12. We still don't love Harrell for what it's worth. 21 DK points, which how much is Harrell? I thought he was a little bit cheaper. I guess he's priced up a little bit more.
He's 4.5K.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's not anything special, but Harden's the guy that would get a nice boost. Big DK value. Maxey as well. Those would be the two best plays. Positive plays for Melton, positive play for Harris, but Harden get a ton more usage delve his way. And I think I'm pretty sure he leads the league in assists as is. So got to feel like a pretty good shot at a double-double and a realistic chance at a triple-double will be in play if Embiid doesn't go. Anything else that's worth noting as far as this game? This game is not terribly interesting in my estimation.
Yeah, I would like those other plays as tournament plays if Embiid didn't go out. Tobias would get a bump. Maxey, Harden would get the most significant. And if Harrell was starting at 4-5, I feel like he's an interesting pivot off Thomas Bryant.
I'm just distracted. I apologize. I'm reading the chat now. Devin is dunking on me. Rob is dunking on me. Yes. Maybe we'll play the Would You Rather game. Our update, as always, of Philadelphia is no update. Embiid is still game time decision. It's usually like half hour for the game. It'll probably drop right when the crunch time comes in as far as Embiid. They never seem to want to be accommodating. My guess is he plays, but again, we will have time to figure it out. K-Mac, do you want to answer a random this guy or that guy? How about this? Fanduel tournaments. K-Mac wants to know Mikal Bridges or D'Angelo Russell. I think it's Russell.
I think it's Russell for me.
I guess I'll say Russell too, but I am going to jump in since you brought up the Would You Rather game. And I'm not sure if Bobby has been with us for this.
I've done a Would You Rather, yeah.
Oh, have you? Okay, great. So then
he's a veteran of the game.
You know what's coming. So we'll start with the simplest of the questions I have here. Would you rather be allergic to water or allergic to sleeping?
That's not simple at all. I think allergic to sleeping, but that sounds horrible.
Does that mean I can't sleep?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Sleep, you're just gonna break out in an allergic reaction every time you go to sleep, and the longer you sleep, the worse it's gonna be.
What happens when drinking water, touching water? If it rains, do I have to run?
Your body's made up of like 70% water, isn't it? So you just always have an allergic reaction.
Well, I mean, so then I guess the answer is sleep, isn't it?
But when you say allergic, though, tell me what happens. Like, what is that? That can mean a lot of things. What do I break out in hives?
Yeah, and the more you're exposed to it, the worse it's going to get. Your throat's going to start closing, and all of that fun stuff.
Don't I need?
This doesn't sound like a fun game. This is...
You don't make these questions fun at all.
Well, the next ones are real fun. I wanted to start with this one to put you in a pretzel. So, are you both saying sleeping for now?
Sleeping, yeah.
I think you have to have water to survive and to live. Correct. So,
yes, but you can space out your water consumption. Sleeping, you're going to be doing you want to do it heavy blocks, right?
And would normally all the insomnia features would kick in if I just decided not to sleep?
I would assume so. Yes.
Oh man, I don't like this question at all. Yeah, I don't know. I like water.
Yeah, I like water too.
Enjoyed, and that means I can't showering is out of the question.
Oh basically. Yeah, you're gonna have to take quick showers.
Yeah. I think I'd rather be allergic to sleep. That Bobby said, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, allergic to sleep. It seems like allergic to sleep. Then the goalposts got moved where you can limit your water consumption.
You can limit your water consumption now. That's not moving the goalpost. I have a bottle of water. I don't have to slam this whole thing. I can drink as much as I want at any point in life.
Yeah. What about can I drink Gatorade that has water in it?
That would be partially somewhat water. So you can, but you're gonna want to limit that consumption.
So what can I drink? Nothing, basically.
I mean, I don't know.
Isn't water essentially everything?
It is, but that's why the question's hard. You have to limit when you eat and drink, or you have to completely limit when you sleep for the rest of your life.
It's you're choosing a life of misery, but I think it's sleeping. Yeah, I agree with Bobby.
I think it's water.
Well, why do you think it's water?
Because I think you can limit what you're doing with water throughout the day.
Well, no, out of curiosity, how often would you shower if this was a Like what would be the number of like once every 20 days or what?
I would shower probably every 2 days, which would be tough for me because I shower twice a day normally.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So you're just choosing to bring on the hives. You want to break out and give me all the side effects.
You're gonna have to sleep in like 30-minute blocks, Dean. Have you ever tried to do that? It's madness. It's what I do every day of my life right now. It's the worst.
I don't think I've ever I don't think I've ever done it before. Like I power napped before, but no, it's not like it's a part of my life.
All right, you guys are wrong on this one. Let's move on to the Lakers and Brooklyn Nets.
So that we can get to the other questions. Put the poll up in the chat and see what the chat has to say.
All right.
Lakers, Brooklyn, 230 is the total. Brooklyn is a 10-point favorite here. Lakers are 10-point dogs, but of course they are going to be reasonably popular, very popular in DFS today. The absence of LeBron, the absence of Davis, the absence of Austin Reeves. They are getting Lonnie Walker back for what it's worth, but we are seeing a ton of ownership shuffling to the Lakers today. Westbrook coming off the bench, 7.5K, and DK, 37% ownership. Rui Hachimura, we're giving 24% ownership to. He's really cheap on DK. He's more expensive on FanDuel. Will be more popular on DK for sure. Thomas Bryant is all the way down to 5K. We're giving him 27 minutes. We're chopping him, I guess, the Gabriel thing. We're giving Gabriel 21. That's a little fragile, but theoretically, Bryant should be a pretty solid cat. He's probably a cash game staple. Schroeder as well, 20%. Man, how do you feel about the Lakers being chalky and like how much Lakers is too much Lakers? I don't love the Lakers today. I'm going to play some because you kind of sort of have to, but I want your Lakers takes.
Yeah, I've currently at most 2 for my Lakers. Westbrook's obviously grading out really well. We have him for 31 minutes. Schroeder we have for 34 minutes, 20% ownership. Bryant, 27 minutes, 30% ownership. I think my favorite Laker would be Thomas Bryant, just because that's basically how the construction starts. I think you can – obviously we're playing Westbrook, but I think it's like the case of TJ McConnell the last time I was on the show. Like there's a chance like Westbrook busts here, and he's not like egregiously strong to be optimal in this situation. So I think he's up there, but I wouldn't – I think you can be with like with the strength at point guard. I think you can get away from him in some builds. I'd probably play him on 2 of 3 of my 3 max, but yeah, I think that there could be that you could make a case to get away from him. Lonnie Walker, he's back first time 4-2. We have him for 23 minutes. I don't mind getting to him. I think Rui could see upwards of 30 minutes. We have him currently at 27. I think that's a fair number. So Rui at 4-1, I'd definitely prefer to Walker. If I had to rank my Lakers, it'd probably be Thomas Bryant, Westbrook, Schroeder, Rui, Lonnie as my top 5.
Yeah, the only question about Walker for me is like how many minutes they willing to give him. He came back from a knee. He was out for a month, and he played 18 minutes. He played pretty well. At least he scored, 6 of 8, 13 points. But that, of course, was a game where they had, LeBron and Davis. So the minutes bump was going to be there, but how much are they going to give him is just kind of a question. They obviously can use his shooting ability. There's not much else there, but it's a little fragile. Well, what was the number? Let's see. What did we give him? We're at 23. You think he could possibly play up to 27, 28? Maybe.
Who was this? Lonnie
Walker?
I think those minutes would likely go to like. I think he could, but isn't this is his first game back, right?
Second game. The first game back. Yeah.
What did he get for minutes his first game? 18.
Yeah, but again, that was with first game back in a month. That was with LeBron and Davis. So I'm pretty sure Davis was at the game. I think they were both in that game.
Yeah, at 4-2, like I think in tournaments he would be my favorite Laker value as like a pivot because all these guys are going to be owned, right? But if you want to get a low owned one, I think Walker works. He's like Rui's going to be. I feel like I'm going to end up playing Rui. I hate playing Rui. He's 4-1. He's just, but it's a different situation now, right? Hopefully they give the new guy more run in this scenario. Bryant at 5K, I think he's a very strong play in the context of the slate. He's the one that feel like you have to make a very hard decision on. Probably going to be significantly overweight. What are your thoughts on Westbrook? How are you approaching that in terms you're just going to play it, or what are your thoughts?
It's interesting, right? Because you mentioned there's some good plays out there. Russell's good play. If you want to spend a little more, like Kyrie or SGA, look really, really strong. If you think this game blows out, if you want to do that sort of thought process, he's already giving up, 4, 5, 6 minutes of the second half's start, right? So you lose those first 5 minutes, whatever it is. And then if the game blows out, he's losing the back 5 minutes, right? Whatever, give or take. So he's going to play all those minutes in the middle, but he is throwing there's a lot of minutes being thrown out. And that's sort of the penalty of him coming off the bench. Because I don't think he doesn't close. He's not going to come off the bench and then mop if the game's out of hand. So he loses on both ends. The back half, the start of the second half, the first half, whatever. Once he's in, he's basically in.
They'll bring him in early in the first half. He'll be in within the first 4 minutes, I feel like.
Yeah. Andre in chat saying Westbrook is a lock. Yeah, he's a great play. I'm just trying to think of ways it can go poorly.
This was the same thing with McConnell last week. The projection said he was a lock. He was a lock. I said you could fade him in tournaments. I got completely ostracized in chat, and then he ended up busting. So
did you fade him yesterday? By the way, I didn't play.
I didn't play yesterday. I played NFL yesterday, and I played a ton of McKinnon, which I wish I had faded McKinnon.
I did too. I was profitable, and I had a live lineup, but I think McKinnon was on there, and that did not work out. And I had Pacheco because I looked the same lineups with McKinnon and Pacheco. They were at the same price, and Pacheco scored, and then they took it back, but. Nobody cares about my team. But
I needed that P. Ryan TD that you didn't. That you needed the Mixon TD. I needed the P. Ryan TD.
I could have used Mixon. Yeah. Because I had 69%. I didn't mean to. It just happened to work out that way. I had 69% of the Philadelphia running back, who for some reason was 15% owned. Geez, why am I forgetting his name? It starts with an M. MT.
Miles Sanders.
Jesus, my brain just turns off.
Slate was at most one Philly running backs. So
yeah. McConnell yesterday scored 0 points in the bucket, had no stocks, 5 turnovers. It was a horrible game for him. It turns out TJ McConnell is, in fact, TJ McConnell still.
It was hilarious how he got there on Friday. I played him on Friday. I did not play him Thursday.
Well, he's gonna get there, but I think it was a matchup against Memphis too. I didn't play. Tough defensive matchup there, Memphis. Lakers. I'm gonna have Westbrook too. The Bryant thing, if you want to get a little squirrely in tournaments, I think Gabriel is an interesting pivot away from Bryant. There's different paths. There's a path where Gabriel is just outplaying Bryant. He ends up closing. There's a path where Thomas Bryant gets in foul trouble. And Gabriel is the direct benefactor. I don't think I would play both of them in the same lineup. Almost definitely I wouldn't do that. But I think Gabriel, 0.89 fantasy points per minute, pretty good, not amazing. Bryant, very good, obviously 1.12. Somebody mentioned in chat about Troy Brown, and I don't want to play Troy Brown. He's 0.64 as far as fantasy points per minute. His usage is 12%. Egregious. That's basically Pat Bev too, by the way. 11% usage, 0.64. Amazing, by the way. If you saw him, the photographer yesterday showing the ref, that was so good.
I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
He borrowed a photographer's camera and brought it over to the ref and showed how LeBron was fouled. Oh, amazing stuff. So good. He got teed up instantly, but it was worth it for sure. How many Lakers are too many Lakers in one lineup? I'm going to guess. I ran some optimals. I'm going to guess we're probably putting 3 in there. 2 in the first one, 4 in the second one. Jeez. 4, yeah. There's no way I'm playing 4 Lakers. That's not happening. Maybe 3. Maybe. You said 2, right?
I said at most 2, but for me in tournaments, I think at most 3 is fine.
And jump over to Fanduel as well. 2 on Fanduel with Bryant and Russell. 3 in the second one, 1 in the third one. So it's, 1 to 3, it looks like, as far as Lakers. How about the Nets? They're playing another basketball team, the Lakers. Like, we got to focus on them. There is certainly some sticker shock when it comes to Nick Claxton, but dude has been awesome. This matchup is great. Man, he's in the 8Ks now though, Claxton. Like, remember he used to be like 5. Actually, last year, remember he was like 3K. You're just betting on like those 18 minutes he would get. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So,
what if Sharp is starting at center for the Nets?
Is that possible?
Or you're taking Simmons out. What if he got a spot start?
Huh. I thought Sharp was actually dinged. Am I wrong to say that? Is he
dinged?
No, I guess he's back. I think he's back. But he's awesome, by the way. If he ever is starting,
that's what I'm saying.
He's a great fantasy player, I should say.
It'd be nice on the slate where we didn't have value. I don't know if they'd end up. They already have Claxton, so it's not.
Yeah, I don't anticipate that. And like you said about Simmons, as we speculated, it looks like he is out with his knee. I'm not doing air quotes, so maybe the coach is. I don't know. TJ Warren is also out too. So no Simmons, no Warren. It's a little bit thin. Seth Curry is going to be a popular value play. And general rules, I don't like, the really heavily owned player that's super reliant on hitting threes. But here we are with Seth Curry. Has the ownership stuff adjusted? Did we have – curious if we had Simmons, and I think we had – did we have Warren in or no? Yeah, we're giving 10 minutes to Sharp for what it's worth, 34 to Claxton. Simmons, 27. I guess we're giving him a few. Thomas was getting 4. They have a lot of dudes, a lot of guys, but 29 minutes for Curry. That might get bumped up a little bit as well. He's going to be a good, optimizer play, cash game play, whatever you want to call it, and then make your decisions as far as tournaments. Currently, he's 11%, but I'm going to tell you it will be more than that once we figure this stuff out. And then if you have all the salary, by all means, Kyrie should be awesome here. But, Kyrie's in a different tier. He's in the tier versus SGA versus, Edwards and Trae Young and those kind of guys. Where do you have Kyrie as far as prioritizing your big spend guards?
I really like Kyrie, especially like you're taking away. Obviously, Kyrie affects Simmons' usage when he's in and control and ball handling, but I don't mind getting to Kyrie here. I know point guard's kind of loaded, but just with Durant out, we see the usage bump. It's a pretty extreme usage bump. So for him and Claxton, they're two guys that I'd definitely want to get to. In 150, I'll definitely have Seth Curry. I know you're considering the fade or not a full fade, right?
For Curry or for Westbrook?
What'd you say? Sorry.
For who am I? Who are you asking about? Asking about Curry?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna play him. I just know that ownership's gonna get pumped up a good bit because, like you said, at least again, everything is fluid as far as the slate, and we don't have a ton of spectacular value right now. I think Wiggins for Andrew for OKC is like one of the guys that's hitting right now and like projected for maybe 21 fantasy points, just because he kind of makes stuff work, but it's not super reliable. He's fine, but he's not somebody I want to have necessarily a ton of. But I think, Brooklyn, they're going to get thinner, right? They're going to be down to, I guess they'll still have 11 guys, but that includes, like Cam Thomas, who we don't really give much run to. I know, like when he gets run though, he's a usable player, but obviously going to be in the court. Patty Mills not going to get much run. Yeah, I think they're going to play Curry a good bit. I think those minutes are going to jump up, and I feel like once we get our projections changed, let's give it the old refresh. Might be coming in now, actually. I think
that's what I've been trying to refresh to see.
Yeah, kicking Warren out and kicking out Simmons because they're paired one. Let's see. Yeah, okay, there it is. Curry now 33 minutes. Claxton 34, Royce O'Neal 36. He's basically just kind of is what he is. And then Joe Harris getting 30. But we're giving Curry 31 DK points as a median projection at 5.3K. Like, that's going to hit. That's going to hit optimizers for sure. Claxton 34 minutes, 42 fantasy points. Really, really strong play as well. I mean, this feels like a good game if it stays close. If you like stacking things up, take three Lakers and 2 Brooklyn players and just figure it out from there. I don't mind.
I think that's a fine way to do it. This game's going to play fast regardless, so I think you can definitely make that case to stack this game up. People don't stack enough in NBA, I feel like. I know we kind of I feel like everyone kind of lets it happen organically if it happens, but no one's like going out of their ways to stack. And I wonder if that's something like I should be trying more, at least running stuff back a little bit more often than I do.
I think it's like, what is a stack, right? Because, a stack can be, it's like the best player on one team versus the best. Like, I think Sabonis and Anthony Edwards is kind of a game stack, right? You can just do like 1-1. Like, that's kind of sort of like, there is some correlation there. Like, I don't know. How do you define it? Obviously, it depends upon, it needs some expanding upon. Because,
no, I'm with you. I feel like having multiple players or just individual run backs, I don't think people do enough of in NBA relative to other sports, right? So
yeah. And if like trades tonight, like, Lillard and Murray is something you can do. Darren in chat wants to know SGA or Lillard as a pay up.
I like SGA. Are you on Lillard?
I like SGA more, but like, I'm not going to tell somebody they can't play Lillard.
Yeah.
It's a tough question. And I think SGA is probably going to get more ownership. Let's see, 15% for SGA, Lillard at 10. Yeah. Don Yeezy is talking about chat 1-1, 2-1. And it's all sort of relative, right? Because we'll see sometimes where a team is so decimated that they're down to 8 players and only 7 are actually going to play. And of those 7 players, 6 of them are less than 5K. So then you can run 4, and theoretically you don't necessarily need any on the other side, right? Like you can just go 4-0. So there's all sorts of layers, and it comes into a whole complicated conversation. Yes, Simmons is officially ruled out. Talking about that in chat there. But yeah, if you were to make a 3-2 in this game, it's pretty. I mean, you take 2 of like the clear and obvious. It's like 2 of Kyrie, Curry, and Claxton, and 3 of Bryant, Schroeder, and Schroeder, and Westbrook. Like, if you want to do that, like 3 of Bryant, Schroeder, Westbrook, and Rui. There you go. Like that's. I don't think that's you can kind of work around that, and the players are cheap enough that you're not leaving yourself like just nothing left to pick from, right? I haven't run that, but in my head, you got some money, I think, to spend somewhat.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I feel like that's the best way to stack that game up.
Anything else we should talk about here as far as Lakers, Brooklyn?
I don't think so. I
just had another if you're playing Westbrook, and I don't like forcing this stuff, but I kind of like the idea. If I'm playing Westbrook, hopefully you want this game to be close. So maybe I run back. I'm force a Brooklyn run back.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I don't like boxing myself in. But in my head, like if you need a tiebreaker, right there you go. But I don't like that. I don't hate that as a rule. Sacramento, Minnesota, they're running this one back. They played a couple days ago. 237.5 is the total. It's high and it's tight. Sacramento, 1-point favorite at Minnesota. Like Gobert officially is questionable, but again, I assume he's good to go. The only one that matters is Taurean Prince. He's questionable with his ankle. As far as Sacramento, they are fully healthy. The Kings are fully healthy and good to go. Talk about the Kings. The Kings on the road. I think this is one of those. Yeah, I just got a good DK price. His Fanduel price wasn't very good, but I'll throw it to you. Your thoughts as far as Sacramento?
Yeah, so Kevin Huerter at 5-4. I feel like his ownership is going to come down now that we have the Curry news because they'll probably split the difference. But him at shooting guard, small forward,
direct pivot. You like that?
Yeah, it's an interesting pivot. He would probably be my favorite. The rest of these guys, like we're showing 2% ownership on Sabonis. I think that's relative to his position. But paying up for Sabonis, like I can make that happen. Especially like I know center's loaded. Like you have Thomas Bryant, you have Claxton. We'll get into Gobert in this game. Like there's a bunch of different guys, but Sabonis is still a guy. If you get him at low ownership and he fills it up, he's a good tournament play in my opinion. Fox, same thing. We have him for 6% at 8-3. Point guard's pretty loaded, but I think he's an interesting pivot off. Say if you're building 3 max and you want to get away from Westbrook in one lineup, I think Westbrook's at 75, Fox at 8-3. Maybe that's a switch you make. Those 2 would be my favorite tournament plays. I think Huerter's in play for both tournaments and cash. Barnes, we have him for 33 minutes, 5% ownership. I think he's fine too at 5-2. But the guy like Keegan, Malik, Trey Lyles, I don't really have a ton of interest. Maybe I should have more interest in Keegan. We have Keegan at 12% ownership, pulling pretty much the highest outside of Kevin Huerter. So Keegan at 5K. Keegan's like a fantasy point per minute guy, right? Pretty positive.
0.76.
Oh, 0.76. Never mind. Oof, that was a complete. For some reason, I thought he was. Yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't cross him out necessarily.
I'm not crossing him out at 150, especially with the value that we don't have a ton of value. So Keegan will make my pool.
Like you said, two really fast teams. It is peculiar. I understand why, because everybody's sort of priced where they should be priced. But you'd think this game should be appealing DFS wise. But nobody's getting more than 20% ownership currently. Edwards is right there in the fringe. Again, salary and all that kind of stuff matters. 9.4K, you got to pay for him. The minutes have been huge of late, giving him 37 tonight. Russell, 37 minutes as well. Makes a little bit more sense dollar for dollar. Of course, if I have the money, I'm not going to be angry if I get any Anthony Edwards. Herter's just sort of good, cheap, mid-tier, pretty reliable price there at 5.4K on DK. Fanduel not nearly as appealing. I think he's mid-sixes over there. If Gobert goes, the price for Gobert at 6.6 seems too cheap. He's an interesting tournament play for sure, but just this game environment does not reflect the ownership. It's kind of I know it's a big slate, and I know there's no great bargains. 9.4 for Edwards. Sabonis is 10.3 but 3%. 5.3, 7%. But there's a reason why the ownership is where it is. But I think if you're running 150, I would try to get over on some of the plays here. Is that your approach as well?
Yeah, that's my lean. Edwards and Russell, I'll probably be a little bit above the field, I would imagine. Same thing with Gobert. If he's in, if he's out, we're going to get the Naz Reid swap or Nathan Knight, depending on who's starting. They'll become pretty owned. Kyle Anderson, I think you can take a shot on him at 5.7 on the Minnesota side. He's been playing all right. I usually don't like rostering slow-mo, but
no
ownership we're showing right now, I could play some of them in this game environment. It'll be pretty easy to get overweight. I would say that we have them at 2%. So, yeah, that's pretty much my take on Minnesota. I think these guys are all fine to get to or be somewhat over on. And then the same thing on the Sacramento side with the studs, Fox and Sabonis, like being overweight on those guys as well.
Gobert 6.6 on DK, really good price. 8K on FanDuel. That's kind of hard to justify. I know, if he has a big block game, it'll kind of make up for itself, but that hasn't really been happening this year. 1.5 per 36 last I checked, lowest in his career as far as blocks. Anderson also better price on DK as well, 5.7 as opposed to 6.5 on FanDuel. And it doesn't matter. I guess ideally, Prince, you don't want him there. You want that rotation a little bit tighter, but I don't think it matters a ton if he plays or not. He's currently questionable, marginal play there. I mean, you're not playing Prince, but I'm just trying to think if he steals a minute or two away of some of the guys. Yeah, starting lineup for Orlando came out. No, I don't think there's any surprises here. Fultz, Harris, Wagner, and Banchero as well as Wendell Carter Jr. They're going to be completely ignored. I think Orlando is for the most part, but justifiably so. Anything else here as far as Sacramento, Minnesota?
No, I think we covered it.
All right. This is an 8 o'clock game. The other 8 o'clock game, I should say there's three. So one of the other ones is Golden State. Golden State versus OKC. 242.5 is the total. That is a huge number. They are the Warriors, that is. They are 5-point favorites as far as this game. Who's in and who's out for this game? Well, Wiggins should be back from his illness. And as far as OKC, they look pretty thin because I guess some of their guys are down in the G League, and Lou Dort, no torture chamber, Dort unavailable tonight for OKC, which is why we're projecting Wiggins to draw the start. That's Aaron. I don't believe they're related, best of my knowledge. I don't think there's a narrative street there. And that's why Aaron Wiggins is, I think he played 30 or 31 minutes last game. We're giving him close to that here. There is some fragility to OKC rotations, especially when we're not talking about Shea. Ownership-wise, Aaron Wiggins currently is getting, let's hit a refresh as far as ownership. I think we just got it. And I want to retroactively just kind of take a peek at what Curry is, because I feel pretty confident that Curry is going to spike up a little bit. Let's see what that is first. Curry is now 27%. There you go. How do you feel about Seth Curry at 27% now?
I'm definitely going to play him in 150. Whether I'm over the field, I think probably be right around the field, if anything.
Question in chat. A couple guys we talked about. D'Angelo Russell at 7K or Westbrook at 7.5. Who do you prefer?
I think Russell's an interesting tournament pivot. Russell's still going to be owned, but not to the extent of Westbrook. But what we're talking about, like Westbrook being someone to get off of, he's also a very strong play. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, for sure. Derek's talking about good matchup for Steph and for Draymond for sure. If you look at the NBA defense versus archetype matchup tool, one of the things you get here at RG Premium, it's the second best matchup in all basketball for versatile bigs. If you call Draymond a versatile big, it's a guess. I guess you got to give him something. That's what you call him, right? He could theoretically hit a three, so he's got some versatility to him. And Steph is a combo guard, fourth best matchup, and we're giving that tag to Poole and to DiVincenzo as well. Steph certainly can bomb away. In the absence of Lou Dort, their best defensive player, should make things a little bit easier for Steph. You want to talk about the Warriors first? I think that's the easier conversation to have. As far as ownership, there is not a lot because, they're fully healthy and they're all kind of baked up as far as the price. But, Steph at 3% is always interesting. It's got to beat a lot of other guards. But certainly he can hit 10 threes, and that's how he gets there.
Yeah, so for me, like at 3%, I can play him in my tournament stuff, see how much he hits. It would be an interesting run back with Shea, but now we're getting expensive, right? So that could be an issue. We definitely need some Aaron Wiggins value at 3-4 if we're going to make that happen. But with like Curry, Poole, and Clay all playing, all available, it's tough to really like get to too many of these Golden State guys. My favorite, like you hit on Draymond at 6'3", good matchup. As we have in the defense versus archetype tool, I don't mind him. I think Clay at 6'7" is someone, and they're getting the highest ownership, both Clay and Draymond, respectively right now. They'd probably be my two favorite Warriors. Definitely not playing Jordan Poole with Curry healthy and Clay healthy and this whole team just healthy. He's just too tough to roster at that price tag. Andrew Wiggins, 6K, first game back, for 29 minutes. No ownership. I really don't have much interest. It would be between Green, Thompson, and Curry for me on the Golden State side. Okay,
so kind of middle of the road as far as yielding threes. They give up the most total opponent rebounds per game. One rebound more than the worst team, the second worst team in Charlotte, is OKC, giving up 55.4 as far as rebounding percentage. They are fourth worst as well. You combine that, of course, being a bad rebounding team and the pace they play at the league's third fastest pace. And combine that with Golden State's pace, number 1 and number 3, they should be flying back and forth. And if you're in the sports books today, maybe like bet some like alt rebound totals on like Draymond or something like that. That feels like that could be a fun bet. I haven't thought about that until just now, but it's an awesome rebounding spot. I wonder what that number is. Check it out in Scores and Odds. ScoresandOdds.com for all your gambling, all your sports gambling needs. Check it out. Bobby, do you partake in the Scores and Odds realm of the RG umbrella?
I do not currently, no. We don't have sports betting in Mass until actually tomorrow, my birthday, we get it. So maybe I'll go.
Yeah. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
Do we want the chat to guess how old you are? Is that a fun game, or is it no longer fun after a certain?
I just kind of said it, but yeah, it's not. It's no longer fun at this point.
I wasn't listening. I missed if you gave the number.
I'm 34 years old, Dean. Tomorrow.
Paul Pierce.
Yeah, Paul Pierce here. Paul Pierce, very underappreciated, by the way. Just want to throw it out.
What was that famous clip about?
He's assisted and scored on the most game-winning plays in the history of the NBA. Doesn't get enough respect.
He's assisted or scored. How do you define game-winning play? Like it's got to be in
play to win the game.
Yeah, but I mean, like, okay,
no more. Most clutch player ever.
Are you trying to tilt me? I don't believe clutch is a thing. I think it's a nonsense word.
I think if you Pierce was clutch, man. He didn't play in the social when he was like he didn't get the social media era really didn't happen for Paul. Like he was right at the beginning, so he doesn't get his due.
there's a good than a bad, because like if he pooped himself in the social media, I mean, remember what we did to Lamar Jackson when we thought he pooped himself on Monday Night Football?
No, but people that is still relevant in the social media. But the Draymond Green like situation with like Draymond and Paul are like two, like Paul's like in another league, right?
Wait, did Draymond poop himself too? Did I miss something?
No, Draymond like said like you're not Kobe or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember there was an argument. I can't remember who was on the ESPN set, and it's just a famous clip where basically why Wade is better than him. And there's
Wade is not better than Paul Pierce. No, he's not better.
I disagree with you. And speaking of clutch, by the way, if you think clutch is a real thing, Dwayne Wade had one of the greatest NBA finals of all time. Like the one where Shaq won a title with Miami, and people are like, oh, Shaq. No, that was Wade. Wade won that title for Miami.
Yeah, Wade won that title. No, you're right. I'll give you
that. Paul Pierce is greater than LeBron, or many people are saying.
He's not greater than LeBron.
Nobody's saying that. B Shots is trying
Pierce is better than Dwayne Wade, and clutch
he's better than Dwayne Wade.
Clutch is a better thing. Is a real thing. You've
been
outvoted.
Andre's on my side in this one.
He's definitely not a better announcer than Dwayne Wade. But
Andre's not on stream right now.
Personality.
His opinion still counts, though. As long as it's on my side.
I am producing. I have the final say in whose opinion counts, and it's 2-1 right now.
Wade over Paul, Andre said.
Yeah. That there you go. It's not. Yeah, that is correct. He's on top of it.
I'm total. I do not think so.
Has Wade ever himself, to our knowledge, got stretchered off in a game? To my knowledge, it never happened. If we need a tiebreaker,
game would translate so much better to today's NBA than D Wade. Just to throw it out there.
Maybe.
Possibly. Step backs. Of course it would. What do you mean maybe? Of course it would.
Well, it's that weird thing.
It was like a slasher.
It's that weird thing where Wade probably would have worked more on a 3-point game if it was more relevant when he played, right?
Yeah, but Luke is like dominating the league with the step back. Like he's, you know what I mean? Like that was pretty much that old man slow game from 3. Yeah.
I wonder what like the public thinks on this Wade versus.
They definitely think D Wade over Paul.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah,
hey, people have so many. But Paul's just destroyed his reputation in the public eye, in my opinion.
I know that there was an incident with I thought it was just funny. When he was streaming at his house, or wherever he was streaming at.
Yeah.
Got him. I guess he was fired from it, or I think he wanted to leave.
He was fired. No, yeah, he should have.
Was he fired, or he wanted? I thought he said I think he was just fine leaving, because I don't know. Did he care or did he not care? But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny what he was doing. But anyway, any event, maybe we can put a poll up, or I put the poll in the chat. Are you afraid, or are you just going to take a 2-1 victory, which is the fraud?
You're going to win going away. D-Wade is going to win going away.
First of all, I can't put polls. I'm still I haven't fully evolved out of my RotoGrinders cocoon to be given the power to do polls on YouTube yet. So
unbelievable.
I know.
SGA or Steph, Dex asked. I think it's SGA.
I think so too, but I like them both. But yeah, if I'm gonna just have one lineup, I'm taking SGA. He gets a bump with the absence of Dort. I love this. This game should be electric. I really think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can see SGA putting up 40 points in the bucket tonight. I think he's another one. He's a good bet to consider for all points if you like such things. Where are you at, or is the current Wiggins, Aaron Wiggins, that is, what kind of chalky, cheapy? And do you feel good about that? Are you going to be? Well, let's see.
I do not feel great about it, but I will be playing him. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
He just makes stuff work.
I don't know if there's another guy that's 2K, 3K, I guess. I don't want to say 2K, that you feel okay about. Let's see. Ownership stuff, is it shuffling as far as we got 25% for Wiggins on DK. He's 3-4. We're giving him, and that's just 27 minutes. Again, some fragility in the OKC rotation. I think it looks like we're chopping his minutes with Isaiah Joe. 16% for SGA. And yeah, if you want to play the ownership game, I suppose you can play Steph, but we both like Shea more. Giddey, we should acknowledge his presence, acknowledge his existence. Jalen Williams, either one of them do anything for you?
I think Jalen Williams is interesting just because where he's priced. He's at 5K where we have some chalk congregating, so don't mind him. Kenrich, I don't hate either, but I think I'd prefer Jalen.
The refs help Wade in 06. I don't remember that. Okay. That's according to Tony in chat. I don't recall. Is there a specific play I should remember?
I'm not saying. I think
it's about better. So it wasn't like straight Dwayne Wade hate. All right. Final thoughts as far as Golden State and OKC. This feels like a fun game stack. The tricky part is, like, Steph is really expensive. I guess Draymond. I'm good with Draymond, and I think this could be a potential, like 9, 12, 5 kind of game. Where he just peppers the box score. That's what I'm guessing is going to happen here.
Yeah, I could see that happening as well. Isaiah Joe? Do you think we have him for 21 minutes at what's his tag? Like, he's pretty cheap. I'm not. If he's starting, would you have any interest?
Yeah. Oh, if he's starting, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. He's a really good fantasy point minute player. 0.98, really solid. For what it's worth, Wiggins 0.78. Joe at 3.8 on DK, 4.2 on FanDuel. I like Wiggins much more on DK than FanDuel, while 3.4 versus 4.2.
Likelihood is he isn't starting, but I just wanted to.
It seems unlikely, but it's possible he doesn't start, but he closes over Wiggins. Like, that wouldn't shock me. To me, that's like a flow of the game kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Wiggins makes more sense at the start of the game before we consider things like ownership. Okay, let's knock out the last 8:00 game. 241 total, huge total. Washington versus San Antonio. Well, that's kind of what happened. San Antonio, horrendous defensively, obviously. Washington is a kind of middle-of-the-road team, maybe mediocre, depending on. They're still a 6-point favorite in San Antonio. If you're curious how bad San Antonio is, they're going to be without Romeo Langford still. Devin Vassell out for a bit. And Washington is getting back Porzingis. Daniel Gafford is questionable. He's ill. No Anthony Gill, for what it's worth. Also, Jordan Goodwin was sent down to the G League. Question, if Gafford doesn't start, do the Wizards start Taj Gibson? I'm not saying the roster necessarily, just asking. Or do they just have Porzingis start at the 5 against Pearl?
I think they would start Taj, to be perfectly honest. Porzingis, I think, is fine for tournaments. Obviously, if he ends up starting, like, his ownership's going to go up. I like Porzingis either way. What do we have for ownership on Porzingis? Like, he can't be over 5. Like,
he's kind of expensive, which is, I think that's what's going to hold it down.
Oh, he's one. We have him very low on. Wow.
Yeah. Which, again, this is the Spurs. Like, again, you love anybody.
That's what I'm saying. In tournaments, I like Porzingis. It's just tough to. He has power forward eligibility too, so it's not as difficult as. I like the Porzingis play in tournaments. Beal at 7.2. Don't mind him. The question was with Gafford. What have they done previously? Do you have it up?
As far as when Gafford doesn't play?
Yeah, it's usually Taj, right?
I think it's like matchup dependent. I think he started some games. I don't think he's automatically started every game. That's what I have in my head. By the way, our projection team, for what it's worth, seems to be implying on their minutes they have an if-then if Gafford doesn't go, and they're giving him 6. So to me, that's telling me that they believe that Porzingis will play the 5.
Okay, I'll go with the projections team. I like Porzingis in tournaments. His ownership will go up a little bit, but either way, like, he's still going to be relatively low owned in the context of the slate. So I don't mind getting to Porzingis at all.
And Denny Avdia also gets a bump up as far as his minutes will be bumped up to 32. And I'm guessing right now his minutes are probably projected somewhere in the mid-20s. We're giving him 27. So, yeah, that'll be enough to make him, pretty interesting, especially against San Antonio. The Beal one is tricky because they're not pushing his minutes. 31 is the minutes we're giving him. Since coming back from injury, 28, 27, 30, 29, 32. And he's also, just not been good. This is a problem. Hey, there's a poll that just popped up in chat. I guess maybe producer Devin, I saw him lurking. Maybe he dropped it in there. D Wade versus Paul Pierce. Do the right thing. Do the right thing in this one. Come on, people. You shouldn't mess this one up. I'm not here to persuade anybody. Good Lord. Already, Pierce is well ahead. Yeah, the Beal thing, like he's 7-2. But like, are we sure Beal, I know he's still only like 29-30, but it's just not happening.
He's just shooting guard eligible too. That'll be the issue, but it is versus San Antonio, right? So
yes, it is the Spurs. Yeah,
it is the Spurs. He's in my tournament pool for what it's worth. I don't feel comfortable when I see his name and rostering him, but I will have some Beal in my player pool.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like he's just been so underwhelming this year. It's just taking a step back for sure. Usage wise, Kuzma and Porzingis, I think, let's say as far as I think they're both ahead of him. Let me double check on that without just throwing that out there to the ether, but I'm pretty sure they're ahead of him. I think he's taking a step back this year, usage wise. Pulling up the grind down, that's where I would get that from. Well, you know what? They're all at 27% usage exactly, but Beal was like in the 30s, if I'm not mistaken, in previous seasons. So, yeah, those guys have kind of grabbed a little bit extra. None at 22%. Not that I don't think you're going to play none tonight, but just of note, I suppose. 17 minutes delegated his way as of right now. Avdia is another guy that I would keep an eye on if we get a no-go as far as Gafford. He would get a minutes bump projection. How about the Spurs? Go ahead.
No, I like Danny a little bit. Just to go back real quickly, do you have any interest in Kuzma?
I really
seems like a tough tag. 38 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, I'm not running enough lineups where I'm like he's somebody I'm isolating, but if you're running a bunch of lineups, I think he's got to be in your pool. Washington's got 123 team total. Huge number. That might be that's the second biggest on the board, right? Right next to Golden State, basically. It's the matchup against San Antonio. We know how good the matchup against San Antonio is. They play fast, 8th fastest pace in the league. They play horrendous defensively. They're the worst defensive team in the league by a good margin, too.
Yeah.
Like the Pistons are terrible, but like they're pointing to the Spurs. So like, what about those guys? Those guys are like 2 points worse than us. Yeah, and also, if you're gonna get 38 minutes of the Kuzma, like for sure he's got to be in your pool, but he's not like a great math play. But that's why he's going to be less than 10% owned.
No, I agree with you. Getting into the Spurs, like Sochan's seen a minutes increase, he'd probably be like my favorite. We currently have him for 14% ownership. Make a case for Podol as well at 5.8. We have him for 14 as too. I think Podol I would prefer to Sochan actually.
It's a positional thing though.
Yeah, it's a positional thing. Podol at center. That it's tough with Podol just because the center is so strong on the slate. Then these other guys, like I don't have a ton of Keita Bates Diop has been hitting some stuff that I've looked at around the industry. Like we have him for 10% owned. He's never a fun roster by any means.
I don't love that personally at 10%. Like, I mean, you're begging for like 23 points out of the guy.
I would rather just play Wiggins. Not that it's like much better, but yeah, I don't know. Any thoughts on this San Antonio side? Like, there's not much here for me.
I think Keldon's at least interesting at 3%. Keldon Johnson. We've seen some ceiling games out of him. We've seen some mega games out, but I think he's at least in play. Pirtle, fine. He gets into a lot of foul trouble. I wonder. I'm just trying to think like if it would help him if. I think Gafford's terrible defensively. I could be wrong on that. I feel like he's a bad defender. And Sohan's fine. Like he's okay. He's coming off a big game as well. We should talk about Detroit. We got 3 left. We got about 15 minutes left to go. Crunch time crew coming in. I didn't peek and see who's Rob. Who's joining us in 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes? My math is a little bit rough. I assume Andy Means and Kevin Roth. And somebody else.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery. I'm going for the element of surprise, or I just didn't look to see who was actually coming on. One of those two things is true.
Oh, you know what? I can pull up the email. Oh, it's Keith. It's Keith Eyster, Eyes, and as well as Roth and Andy Means. Got 2 of those 3 correct. So we don't really know. Well, Detroit and Dallas is going to be clearly predicated upon Luka. Luka is questionable, as we saw. If he goes, of course, Luka's in play. Detroit is horrendous defensively. And all like Dinwiddie, you just can't play Dinwiddie. Basically, I wouldn't say can't, but the price is really pumped up. If Luka does not go, all of a sudden it is the Dinwiddie show. And despite the fact his price is way up there, it's fully justified, and he's still a really, really strong play. I guess, let's see, on DK, he is pulling it up right now. 8.5K, Fanduel is 8.4K. But again, if Luka is out, he gets almost like 15, 20 more fantasy points delegated his way as far as projections, and he becomes one of the best plays in the slate. If not him, like then you have THJ and you have DFS, and those guys both become really, really strong plays as well. As it stands right now, for assuming that Luka is in, ownership-wise, we are getting trying to get San Antonio off this page. Let's see, 25% for DFS. He's still got a pretty good price, right? 4.6K. Alec Burks at 14% on the Detroit side. Luka at just 13% is interesting. That's 12.7K. Got to pay for him, of course. And then Hardaway falls back at 1%. Dinwiddie at 1% because those guys, their prices got baked up in the absence of Luka. But, pretty clear and obvious here. Well, what's your official take as far as Detroit and Dallas? And how much are you waiting if we don't get news at 7 o'clock? How much are you waiting for this? This is one reason, another reason why maybe you just throw the 7 o'clock game away, assuming Embiid's in. Oh, Bobby, I think we're two for two now.
God damn it,
baby.
Bobby.
I think so Luka, obviously I want to wait for this news, but I also Dinwiddie at 8.5, like it is expensive, but we're giving him a ton of minutes, so he'd be a very strong play in that scenario. If Luka's in, like it's nothing outside of just Luka, but if he's not, then Dinwiddie, Hardaway, Powell, I think becomes interesting. We have DFS for 25% ownership. That can't be correct, right?
He didn't get a big price bump. He's 4.6 right now. So, even if Luka's in, that kind of speaks to the overarching nature of the slate, and that there's not a ton of value out there. And he's still going to play. Like he's playing a ton of minutes either way. I think he had an interesting sort of couple games because he did thrive in that one game where Luka did not play. He was 4 for 6 from 3, 7 of 16 from the field. And then the other game, I guess he caught up. I saw in the first half that he didn't score for a while, but he eventually got there and paid it off. 34 fantasy points against the Jazz as well. But I think he's sort of fine as is, but generally speaking, I don't love the idea of being on DFS. He's not a big high ceiling guy, right?
Yeah.
But if Luka's out, then the ceiling is raised, of course. But yeah, he's going to be popular as of right now, before things change. And I'm okay with it in cash and in tournaments. I don't know. Detroit's a good matchup, though. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, it's a good matchup. I don't mind Luka, but I feel like it's tougher to get to him on this slate. But at 14% ownership versus Detroit, if he's playing, it's a very good spot. So yeah, he's not a priority for me like he has been lately in most stuff, but I think just because of construction, I'm kind of going a different way. I just don't think the value is as strong as we've had in previous nights.
Detroit, Alec Burks is getting 13%. I generally don't like rostering him. He did start the other night, and he was a good play that night. Detroit, full tank mode, tankathon, whatever you want to call it. They are, they're rather goofy. We've seen it before when they're down by 30 or 35. They'll still keep some of our starters out there because they're young and want to develop them, and you're not going to accidentally win. So, sure. Jalen Durant, I saw somebody mentioning him in chat. Interesting note about Dallas is how bad they are at rebounding. They're horrendous at rebounding. They're the worst rebounding team in the league. 47.2%, if you want to say, and they've been without a couple bigs of late, Kleber being one of them, and Wood as well. So, last 5 games, rebounding-wise, 45.5%. They're a terrible rebounding team. Worst team in the league rebounding. but they play so slow that they still limit rebounds to opponents, right? They're so bad at rebounding, but as far as getting rebounds, but opponent rebounds for Dallas is only, I think, 10th best, because it's just how slow Dallas plays, because I believe they play at the slowest pace. But theoretically, it's a good rebounding spot for Jalen Duran. Your thoughts as far as the Pistons?
Yeah, so Bogdanovich would probably be my favorite outside of Alec Burks, who, if he is starting at 4-9, I would have interest. I think we'll get that news earlier than we did the other night, hopefully. I know it's not the 7 p.m. game. It's 8 o'clock, right? So hopefully we'll have that news prior to 3 minutes before this game starts. But yeah, Alec Burks at 4-9, I would have interest in, and then Bogdanovich. But outside of that, like, not a ton.
If I remember, that Detroit starting lineup came up like 5 minutes before that game started or whatever. It's Detroit doesn't care. They're just going.
I could have got to it, but I was figuring like other stuff, and then I don't know. I definitely could have made that switch.
Yeah,
didn't get as
he
much.
was in my best lineup that night, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I mean, I just didn't. It's Detroit. I don't like getting too married to anything on Detroit. Is a general thought. And ownership wise, that's where we're at right now. Just Bogdanovich at 10%, Burks at 13%, and that's that. Everybody else is like 1 or 2% as far as ownership. Didn't mean to neglect it. Should mention it. Chat was talking about Dwight Powell. He's 6.7% owned here on DK. The tricky part, he's center and center only, but theoretically, he is a good value if he's going to play 30 minutes tonight here against Detroit. So, sure, not going to discourage that. But generally speaking, Dwight Powell's not a guy I like to get to, but he probably doesn't kill you, right? I guess.
We have him for 30 minutes. Yeah, he probably doesn't kill you. Detroit plays no defense. But yeah, I feel like I'd prefer him to DFS. Like, you're saving $500. I know it's a different position, but yeah, if out of these value guys from this team, I think he's the best. But I don't think there's really much.
Mitchell says that Detroit is auditioning Burks for a trade. I mean, look, if you're a GM in the NBA and you don't know what Alec Burks can give you, I understand the thought process too. It's just I always thought it was weird. Here's a showcase game, like there's some GM like, oh my God, who's this guy Burks? I'm gonna watch him play tonight. Oh, maybe we should consider. Don't they know who Alec Burks is? He's like been in the league for 10 years. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand why they'd have to showcase Alec Burks.
Burks or Dennis Schroeder in chat. Anthony wants to know. I would take Schroeder all day. That's me though. Do you have a thought? Burks versus Schroeder?
I'd probably be on the Schroeder side as well.
Yeah, Michael's making a good point. Dallas might want Burks. Yeah, which is that. Sure, I suppose that's possible too. Toronto and Phoenix, 2 more games. These 9 o'clock is the next game here. The Toronto versus Phoenix, 221 is the total. Toronto, OG Anunoby is going to be out. No basketball for him tonight, which means we need more values as far as center. Precious Achiuwa, presuming he's going to draw the start tonight versus Phoenix. Phoenix is getting healthier, but still no Campaign, no Shamet, and of course no Booker. 221 here the total. The Phoenix being a 2-point favorite. What do you have as far as in Toronto? How much do you like Precious? He's going to be the most popular player in this game. Currently 21% owned on DK.
Yeah, 1.2 fantasy points per minute for Precious. We currently have him at 35 minutes, 22% owned. Like, I think he's a good play. He's someone I'm trying to get to. One of my favorite plays on the slate, for that matter. The rest of these Toronto guys, though, Van Fleet, Siakam, Barnes, Trent, they're all tournament plays, like under 10% owned. I'll have definitely play Van Fleet. I'll definitely play Trent, Barnes, but they're all basically tournament plays for me. Precious Achiuwa is easily the best play out of this group for the price tag.
Yeah, I was trying to think. It's one step closer for like Boucher to be unleashed. I don't think he's nuts. If you're making 150 and you want to be ambitious in a tournament, I probably wouldn't play Precious and Boucher in the same lineup. But I think there's a scenario where Boucher does this thing and sticks around for a few extra minutes. We're giving him 20 as is, right? And there's a path. Now there's also a path he plays 15 or so, and the floor in Boucher is rough. But if you feel like rolling the dice, I don't mind that for tournaments. Phoenix side, what do you got?
Yeah, for the Phoenix side, like Cam Johnson, I think at 5'7", his playing time, he's been pretty good recently. So we're giving him 29 minutes. I think for tournaments, he's someone you could have interest in. Even Torrey Craig at 4-1, like we're giving him 27 minutes. He's going to go super overlooked. We have him for 0 ownership. I think for large field stuff, both these guys kind of make some sense. Ayton and Paul, Ayton at 8-2 and Ayton at 7-8 and Paul at 8-2. I think they're okay for tournaments. Both positions are loaded. The reason I like Cam and Torrey a little bit is just because they're wing players, and I think that small forward and power forward aren't as strong in terms of like positional, like just in terms of position on the slate. So, yeah, Ayton and Chris Paul would obviously they're studs, but it's just tough with the positions that they play to get to them for me.
All right. Anything else you think you want to stress as far as this game? There's no priorities in the Phoenix side, but
there's no actual priorities on the Phoenix side.
Okay. Gonna talk Atlanta and Portland in just a second. Let's see. Murray or Giddey if I have to come off of Dinwiddie. Well, I mean, it's Murray, especially. Well, it's Murray for sure if Trae Young doesn't play. We'll talk about that in a second, right? I assume.
Yep.
Yes?
Yep, definitely.
If Trae Young is playing Murray or Giddey, and you probably don't know this because that's an 8 o'clock game, OKC, and Atlanta's 10 o'clock, and who knows what kind of games Atlanta's playing. I think it's close enough where the upside of Murray out Trae, right? So I probably would go with Murray over Giddey. And he probably projects better anyway. I'm guessing. It's close. So
how about
Giddey versus
Murray over Giddey too? Yeah.
Giddey versus Edwards, like it's a difference in price. Edwards is the better play, but do you have the salary and what's it going to cost you? Right? Like Edwards is better, but as far as lineup construction, Hachimura, by the way, is going to start in case there's any doubts. That's interesting. And Richardson is going to play for San Antonio. I didn't know he was in doubt, to be honest. I wasn't on top of that one. I guess I missed the Richardson potential injury. Did we project Hachimura to start? I feel like, yeah, we did. Okay. Yeah, we project Schroeder, Beverly, Brown, Hachimura, and Bryant to start. Somebody's asking about SGA over 1.5 threes. If you have RG Premium, get RG Premium. We have a breakdown. We'll tell you exactly a projection and everything as far as points, rebounds, all this stuff for Prize Picks or FanDuel Sportsbook, all the sports books. He makes 1 per 36 on the season. I'm not sure why you want one over under 1.5. I hope you're getting some juice because what I'm seeing is it's over a half is like 2-1. So I don't like betting on that either. But getting an alt line, hopefully you're getting some positive juice because we're projecting him to 1-3. But the number, if it's like minus 110, I would say don't bet that for the record. Okay. But if it's like plus 160, then sure, have at it. Enjoy yourself. Last game on the slate is Atlanta. Atlanta versus Portland, 237 is the total. Some questionable stuff up in the air here. Portland is a 2-point favorite. We don't know about Trae Young. He's currently questionable. That's a big deal. And we don't know about Yusuf Nurkic. Less of a big deal, but still meaningful. Questionable, as well as Josh Hart, who's also questionable for Portland. What can we say at this point? Because it's a lot of if-then stuff right now.
Yeah, so if Young's out, DeJounte would become an incredible play, 28% usage in that scenario. Don't mind him at 7,900. DeAndre Hunter gets a bump. Like we have him plus 5% in terms of a bump, and that's when Young's out. So I don't mind him. Capella, I think it's a good matchup for Capella. Like you kind of hit on at the top of the show. Wouldn't mind putting Capella in tournaments, but those would be the main three for me from the Atlanta side. And then if Young plays, he's fine at a loaded position. That is point guard in tournaments.
Do you have a favorite? Big Hurt in chat asking FanDuel single entry favorite stud. Single entry. I'm assuming that not super obvious and somehow gets how like the chalk gets pushed up in single entry stuff. So maybe like a 15% or less in FanDuel studs. What do you got for me?
In terms of FanDuel for studs, I think I would go. I don't know. I think you get to like a Anthony Edwards I think he would make sense. 9,300 on FD. No, yeah, 9,300 on FD. I thought I was looking at DK. I think he would be an interesting tournament play on FanDuel.
I was thinking Embiid 13%. Like, people aren't going to play them. Like, just salary, and you only get one center. And he's got to really smash, obviously. He also has to play, which is still up in the air as well. I assume he plays. We'll get to that. I've yet to hit that like button. Thank you, John, for reminding me. Kindly hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, hit all the things, hit all the buttons. We appreciate all that. Crunch Time Crew should be coming in momentarily. If Nurkic is out, is Grant the move? Well, let's see. I think we have an if-then for Nurkic.
I think Grant and Simon both get bumps in that scenario.
Let's see. We do not have one of those, unfortunately. Simon should get a bump. Grant, it wouldn't hurt him. Eubanks probably gets a bump in projections. It's not good. I like the idea, like you said, that the Capella thing. I think, but I don't know if I'm going to play him. He's going to path if he doesn't have to deal with Nurkic, big boy, lots of girth there, lots of size, and a little bit easier inside banging with like Eubanks. As far as Portland,
I feel similar. Like they're going to have an issue if Nurkic sits dealing with these bigs from Atlanta.
Let's see. Questions in chat. Went with Eubanks last game and he burned me. Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen. Fultz revenge. I did not consider that. I forgot about that. I assume he's been back to Philly multiple times. But I mean, Fultz is playable, I guess, but I don't think I'm playing him. Are you playing him?
He's in my player pool. Yeah. I know it's a tough matchup versus Philly, and it's the 7:00 game, but I do like to play some of these Orlando situations when people are waiting on news.
Dex wants to know Schroeder or Westbrook. I mean, it's two different prices. Who do you think you're going to have more of as far as Schroeder versus Westbrook?
Definitely Westbrook.
Yeah. B-Shot says, I'll hit the like button when you talk about last night's episode of The Last of Us. Well, haven't seen it yet. I've heard it's spectacular. Everybody on Twitter is talking about it. Going to watch it tonight. Looking forward to it. I wouldn't ruin it anyway. I would just say I liked it or I didn't like it, but very much looking forward to that. You are on board with The Last of Us, I assume, or you are on board? Maybe yes.
I think some of it was filmed not filmed in Massachusetts, but it takes place in Massachusetts. My girlfriend's friend was we watched like one episode. It was very good, but I haven't watched it since just because it's tough with the kid to watch a ton of TV right now.
Markieff Morris is somebody I have not considered. Why are we asking about Markieff Morris? What am I missing here? That seems. I know Brooklyn's kind of thin, but we're not playing Markieff Morris, are we?
I'm not playing Markieff Morris, no.
What are we? I'm curious what we're projecting for him. Let's see. I'm just asking on behalf of the chat. Yeah, we're giving him 6 minutes for what it's worth. No, unless he starts or something like that. I do not see a scenario where I'm playing Markieff Morris, who's basically a DMP CD these days. Simmons is out, but still. Oh, go ahead.
All right, boys. It seems like this is a good part to put a little pin in this. I have one more question for the two of you. We went on pretty long on those. We let you get through all the games. So one more would you rather question. Would you rather be constantly followed around and serenaded by dueling pianists or someone who thinks they're really good at karaoke?
Dueling
Are the piano players good?
I mean, they can probably be good, but you're going to have dueling pianos following you the whole time. Is what you have to remember.
Logistically, how does that work? That doesn't even make sense. So they have like Zambonis or something?
I mean, there's going to be some platforms. I don't know, Dean. That's not my side business. All right. We'll let you guys answer this. As you're answering it, I'll bring in the Crunch Time crew so that they can answer as well. Oh, look, there's the coward Kevin Roth.
Wait, what? Wait, what the hell? What did I just walk into? Jesus.
Kevin, he blasted me on the way out last week and then didn't stick around after the show to have a verbal confrontation. He said that I was a camera hog. I don't know where he got that impression.
I love the shades, by the way, man. Those things are fantastic.
Thanks. All right. Are we going dueling pianist? Are we going the karaoke guy?
I just want to see how they're going to carry around these pianos, so I'm going to go dueling pianist.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just curious how that's happening. And also, like, worst case scenario, I can wear like the voice cancellation headphones, then I'm fine.
Yeah, and people who think they're good at karaoke are maybe the worst people in the world. So I'll take the dueling pianists over that any day.
Are we doing karaoke in Nashville?
I mean,
we have.
I've been known to do it before in Nashville, so
we are now.
What's your go-to? Roth, you have a go-to?
Yeah, like some
it's like landslide for Roth.
Yeah. I like singing like "I'll make love to you," and I'll start grinding on any random stranger. Like, Dean, if you're around, look out! I'm coming for you.
All right. Well,
now we're not doing karaoke.
Hey, Andy, Bobby wants to know, or Keith, feel free to chime in, and Roth as well. D-Wade, Dwayne Wade, remember him? Paul Pierce, remember him too? Who had a better career?
Wade.
Wade had the better career, yeah. Who's the better player?
Wade, yeah.
Well, whatever. Who's the better?
Wade.
However you want to ask the question.
I think it's
Also
two different
Dwayne
questions.
Wade. Yeah, also Wade.
I think it's Wade for both for me.
Wade for me as well.
Bobby?
What does the Massachusetts guy say?
I say Pierce. Yeah.
It's Pierce.
Better player, not better career. I think those are two different things.
There's certainly a correlation.
There's a correlation, yeah, but I think that Wade has 3 championships. I don't think you can take that away from him, right?
I think Pierce definitely has longevity over him, so that's like a definite plus in his column. But like at his peak, I think Wade was way better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Just figure out. We talked about it earlier in the show. I figured we throw it out there. I'm just curious to get your take. Bobby, we got to make some lineups. These guys got to give us some analysis as far as what's going down on the slate. A lot of stuff still up in the air. Hopefully, some news will crack and they'll be able to dissect it for y'all. It's Keith, it's Andy, it's Roth. Roth, take it away. It's all yours.
Appreciate it. Good stuff as always, Dino and the crew. Welcome to it. This is it. Indeed, it is crunch time. It is sponsored by Fanduel, and as usual, I am joined by 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, Mr. Andy Means. Andy, how are you, man?
No French this week, Roth?
No French. I was thinking about saying, like, if he doesn't get his way, he's going to throw a LeBron-esque temper tantrum when I decided against it. Did you see that temper tantrum that he threw?
I don't think I did. You're not talking about like the Tatum thing, are you?
No,
is there something else from the end of the game on Saturday or what?
Yeah, he got fouled and they didn't call it, and he just had an absolute meltdown. He like went down on the ground and was like hitting the ground. He was like a small child.
I don't remember seeing that. I saw the missed call, but like that shit happens all the time.
Oh, you got to see the temper tantrum he threw. It was epic. It was very, very enjoyable. How you feeling about the slate, man?
TBD. I know Dean said hopefully some news breaks while we're on the show, and then we can talk about it. I hope news breaks after the show's over, so no one plays all these Mavericks or Hawks or Blazers or whatever. So TBD on how I feel about the slate. It's been a waiting pattern all day. It was weird because like we had no teams on the second night of back-to-back, so we have all injury reports. So at that point, you're just like, I mean, you get a upgrade to in at 10 a.m. or it could be at 10 p.m. on like a late game. So like we're just kind of in a waiting pattern still. There's like barely been anything happening.
Okay, well, we will certainly monitor that. Also, one of our internet sucks. I don't know if it's you or I don't know if it's me. Maybe it's Ice. Meansy pointing the finger there. Ice, how are you, man?
I'm well. That I was surprised LeBron didn't get the call. He's honestly he's like the guy that always gets the call. It seems like. So I get it. Like game on the line situation, you kind of let him play through it, but it was pretty clearly a foul. So I don't think it justified.
Yeah,
it didn't justify the tantrum, though. I do agree with you there.
He absolutely got fouled, and I would have thrown every bit the hissy fit that he did. But it was just funny to see a grown man, like truly, a man that large, truly have that epic of a meltdown.
It was pretty over the top.
It was pretty good. It was solid stuff. Hey, great news, guys. We have a brand new FanDuel read here, fresh in from Devin. FanDuel sponsored Crunch Time, by the way. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $3K. That's a 3 and then 3 zeros. Terms and conditions apply. Also, the FanDuel Entry Series, sponsored by RotoGrinders, is also back. This is exciting. The first I'm seeing of this. Reserve your spot in today's NBA block contest. It's $3 to enter. Your chance to win 1.5K. I love the single entry series. I love single entry in general. And you're basically playing tournaments that you should be playing anyways. And then if you do well in them, you get bonuses on top of it. Like there's just bonus money being thrown your way. So make sure you are getting in that RotoGrinders FanDuel single entry series. It is awesome stuff. I am going to do it right now while these guys break down a slate. Means you want to, I mean, I guess we're just still waiting on things, but you can walk us through what you got.
I think we should just sit here and talk about what we did this weekend and just wait till news hits.
just sit there and just hope. Because it might not, right? I mean, we could go the entirety of the show and know nothing more than we do now.
We will get Embiid news because that's first game of the night.
Okay.
And then Luka is 90 minutes after lock. Trey is 3 hours after lock. Nurk and Josh Hart are 3 hours after lock. Those are probably the big ones that we're waiting on. So probably get Embiid news. But other than that, yeah. So, I mean, I guess I kind of also just kind of recapped everything by saying
good job.
That. So
that was well done.
Yeah. I should I keep the beautiful segue going and transition right into some FanDuel discussion?
I think you do it. I think you just go pedal to the metal. Let's dive into it, man.
I have a whopping one player tagged on FanDuel, and that's Russell Westbrook. Yeah, it's. I mean, nothing's sticking out, and we're waiting. So, I think you play him and kind of go from there. I'll just look at point guard and shooting guard in general here. I like Kyrie up top at 10-4. He got a little boost with no. Ben Simmons got rolled out a little bit ago. And then his teammate, Seth Curry, a cheap option. I think those guys are pretty good cash game options. I think Tim Hardaway at 5'3" is a decent cash game option. He's going to look much better if Luka's out. In that same kind of cheapish range is Aaron Wiggins, assuming he starts for Dort. He's 4'2". So those are the cheap guys. Mid-range, Anthony Simon, 6'4", D'Angelo Russell, 7'2". Yeah, that's probably it. Alec Burks, I didn't mention him. He's fine. Like, they started him the past 2 games, and he's been good. But I don't really trust Pistons in cash games unless a bunch of dudes are out. So would try not to do that. Yeah, let's move to small forward. I didn't mention Anthony Edwards as shooting guard, but I like guard more in general. So I think he's more viable in the small forward position just because of positional eligibility requirements and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Royce O'Neal's the cheap option in here at 5'4" with Simmons out. Dorian Finney-Smith, Ross Boy. If Luka's out, I would like him a lot more. He's fine now, but I would not be looking to play him unless Luka's out. And then you have Sohan at 5'6", another option. And then you have DeAndre Hunter. He'll get a decent boost if Trey's out. So a ton of dudes in this 5K range. If everything stays as it is now, I would probably go THJ first, Royce second. That's what I would do. And then Ant is the spend up. Let's go to power forward. Let me see here. All right, so this position kind of sucks, to be honest. I like Precious Achiuwa at 6'1". I like him way more on DK, where he's 5K. You have a handful of dudes I just talked about, Royce O'Neal and DFS, and then Dwight Powell. So it's weird. With Wood out, I don't know, he's been out for 5 or 6 games. Powell played a bunch in most of them, and then they really cut him short last game, and it wasn't because of foul trouble. I don't think it was because of injury, but I don't. Embiid's starting, so we got that news that I missed. Yeah, that just came in. Embiid's in, so take that one off the plate. Oh yeah, okay. So Powell's fine, but I wouldn't be playing him in cash games. Maybe, definitely not on FanDuel, and I would say maybe on DK, but you don't need him over there, so not there either. Rui's starting. That got confirmed. He's 5'3". I didn't mention him as small forward. He's fine. The spend up here is Sabonis at 9'6", and I think Porzingis is okay if Gaffer gets ruled out, but I think your spend up here is Sabonis, and I think Kuzma is okay at 8'5" as well. Forward sucks, man. Not a big fan. So let's go to center. All right. So center is difficult. Only play one on FanDuel, obviously. I think you probably play Thomas Bryant. That game locks in 30 minutes after the slate locks. I think he's your option, but like you have some other decent ones here, specifically Nick Claxton at 8-4. I mean, if you haven't been following what he's been doing, just like look at his game log. The dude has just been absurd. Since
I hadn't, and when you said that price, it like made my mind break real fast. I thought he was like going to be 4-5, but he's been balling.
I mean, like the dude opened the year like 5,500, and now he's 3K more, and he gets 45 and 55 like every night. It's just absurd what he's doing. And Simmons being out helps. Obviously, KD being out helps, and Warren's out. So like they just don't have a lot of 4s and 5s to like take minutes away from him. So I mean, and you got to do stuff while you're out there. And props to him for obviously he's improved a lot this year. So I think you're picking between one of him and Thomas Bryant and cash games on FanDuel. Don't think it's an Embiid slate, even though we got confirmation he's in. I don't think it's like a Pirtle or a Ayton slate. So I think you play one of those two dudes. I'll pass to you guys.
Okay. Two thoughts. Good stuff. First off, Mr. Richard says, can we just skip the first game now on DK now that Embiid is in? Are you just skipping
on DK for sure? Oh, yeah. It's like an easy – for cash games, it's an easy X out. I'll let Ice talk about it for tournaments because I'm sure there's a lot of people are thinking that, so I'll let him speak on that. But for cash games, yeah.
Okay. Also, briefly, wanted to talk Narrative Street and motivation because I'm sure you saw what happened when Embiid, who was snubbed of All-Star starting to Jokic – well, I guess not to Jokic, right? Because they're in different conferences. Anyways,
he's got MVP on him the past 2 years. I'm sure that mattered.
Right. Can we now confirm narrative and motivation matters? Because you saw Embiid playing like he was legitimately pissed off about it, right?
I mean, can we say it matters?
Yes.
Because, like, what about the times it didn't matter when we said it was going to matter?
Oh God, come on!
You can't just say you can't only say it matters when it works.
When it works, that's true. That's true. This was a clear case of like obviously he was not pleased about it and played that way. Okay, Ice. Let's dive into what you're doing. Do you have the same plan where first game you think you can kind of skip it here?
I do, and that's because I'm really waiting on the Luka news and the Trae Young news. Those are huge pieces, and you want to have as many roster spots available as possible for that. The one guy I do think you should sprinkle in a little bit is Embiid, and that's just because he has the ceiling to break the slate.
Sure.
He's showing lower ownership because he's in that first game of the night. He's center only. I think you want to sprinkle in just a little bit. You don't need to go even double the field, but getting 10 or 15%, I think is a pretty good idea. Just loving the ownership, good matchup against Orlando. But other than that, I'm not stacking the game or anything like that. Just give me some Embiid. It's really Luka and Trae Young are the huge pieces. Things that I know I want to play, even if I don't have that news. The chalk in LA is good. Russell Westbrook is a fantastic play. He'd be a lock button type if we weren't waiting on this news. But because I know I want to play Spencer Dinwiddie if Luka's out, I know I want to play DeJounte Murray if Trae Young is out. I would not lock in Westbrook if you don't have news. I'd probably about 60% right now, just waiting on news.
Are they all they're all the same position?
All point guard and all in that same like high 7s, low 8K range.
Okay.
So very similar plays. And they'd grade out all very similarly as well. I'd probably put Dinwiddie and DeJounte slightly ahead of Russ even. Mm-hmm. I think Thomas Bryant is a great play, but there's a lot of good center plays as well. I'll probably be right at the field on him. Brooklyn stuff, Claxton, like Meansy mentioned, has been playing awesome. Like it is sticker shock for sure, but dude has been dominating. And that's with Simmons in. He gets a nice bump with Simmons off the court now, too. As Simmons is out today, he has been playing alongside Simmons and still smashing. So the ceiling on Claxton tonight is outstanding. Kyrie obviously has a huge ceiling without Durant. And I think Seth Curry and Royce O'Neal, without a ton of value right now, both grade out pretty decently. You can mix some of them in. The environment I'm targeting the most is Sacramento, Minnesota. Both teams play really fast. Neither are great on defense. And I really like the ownership that we're seeing on a lot of these guys. Edwards without Cat has a huge ceiling. I love running that back with De'Aaron Fox, who's 8,500. Great matchup for him. I like Sabonis as well. Only 9,600 here on FanDuel. I think that's a great price for him. He gets 50 every single time he goes out there. Right. It's a fantastic matchup. Like, Gobert is not the same defender that he was a couple of years ago. Not necessarily worried about that. I also think he can bring Gobert out on the perimeter a little bit and shoot and just have his way from the 3-point arc. So love Sabonis. And then that Atlanta-Portland game, even if Trey is in, I definitely want to be overweight on plenty of guys in that game. Nurkic also questionable in that game, so you can just build heavy on that game, and then depending on which way the news breaks, that leaves you some more flexibility if you want to end up jamming in more guys like DeJounte Murray. If Nurkic is out, Eubanks will be decent, although he is priced up more than I expected him to be. I don't mind pivoting to Capella in that situation. Capella with no Nurkic on the other side would be a fantastic play, in my opinion. Okay,
very good. Rob, by the way, pointing out, we've got over 500 people watching and we only have under 100 likes, which is just wrong. It's free content. If you hit the thumbs up button, it is much more likely to stay free into next year and beyond. So go ahead, hit that little thumbs up on the YouTube.
If they don't, we're going to start singing. That's all it is. That's all that's going to happen.
I will get right back to Boys to Men, and nobody wants that. So be prepared. It's going to be the end of the road, if you know what I'm saying. Means let's talk DK. And I guess I'm a little confused as to where we have Luka now. Like, does everything change if Luka is either in or out? What is your assumption right now?
When you say where we have him now, do you mean where do we think if he's going to play, or where do we have his projection?
Yeah, no, where do you think he's going to play, and what are you operating under as far as when you're trying to build a lineup? Because him in or out is massive.
Good question. Here's what I'm hoping happens.
Okay.
I'm hoping at like 6:15 Central, we get some Mavs news. So like late enough after people have closed their laptops because the slate locked. But like early, I want it to be before the Lakers news so I can like figure out if I want to play like Russ or Thomas Bryant or Rui. That's what I want to happen, because then it like gets, because those are the Lakers as of right now are like some of the best plays on the slate. And you have Claxton there too, you have Curry there too. I'm hoping it happens in between 6 and 6:30 Central, because you have some decisions to make by then. Then it gets tough, and if we don't get it by then, I'm probably just going to play Lakers, and then like I don't care about anyone in the Warriors Thunder game except for maybe Wiggins, the Aaron variety for OKC. Probably not really interested in anyone else in that 8 o'clock Eastern window. So then at that point, I'm just going to figure out what Lakers I'm going to play, what Nets I'm going to play. And then we'll definitely have Dallas news by then, because that game starts at 8:30 Eastern. So that's kind of how I'm treating it. And hope we get some sort of discount, ownership discounts on the Mavs if it just happens to break. Because like people, for whatever reason, just don't do it. I don't know why. I don't know if they're lazy or they go run to dinner like I usually do, like right when the show's over. I'm closing shit down and getting out of here right away to go eat some food. Maybe that's what everyone else is doing. I don't know, but I'm not doing that now because wife's out of town. I'm waiting on a pizza. So like I'm ready to let's late swap, baby. Let's go.
Oh, all right. We're ready. Okay. Well, then let's walk through the game plan. And then I'd also like to know, okay, if Luka is announced out, which Mavs are you jamming in? Like, gotta lock them in.
A lot. Good question, and a nice little thing to touch on in between these sites here. So Dinwiddie for sure. So like don't get sticker shock on him. He is in the Luka role. There's no Christian Wood either. Like he's posting like 35% usage, like 40 plus assist rate. The only thing he doesn't do that Luka does is rebound. But you're getting him at like 3 or 4K cheaper than Luka. So, like, if Luka's out, it's Dinwiddie. Then it's probably Dorian Finney-Smith, and then it's probably Tim Hardaway. Those are the three. Those are going to be three of the better plays on the slate, in my opinion, if Luka's out. So that is it's Dinwiddie far and away if Luka's out, though. So that's easy.
Okay. The disclaimer is an important disclaimer that is run there at the bottom.
Let me defend myself. Usually I'm always saying Eastern, but I happened to look at the actual clock on my computer when I was speaking at that one time. Yeah. I'm usually like 99%, 99 out of 100 I'm on Eastern.
Yeah, but to be fair, the company is in the Central Time Zone. Meansy's in the Central Time Zone. I'm in the Central Time Zone. Yeah. Ice is like Hawaii time or something.
Yeah, Hawaii weird. Yeah, we don't count that. That's not fair.
Yeah. Anywho, all right. Means let's keep building here on DK.
All right. So yeah, I'm just basically going to talk about things starting with 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And then, like I said, it's Lakers, like Russ at point guard. Dennis Schroeder, only point guard eligible at 5'4". I think Russ will definitely be in my lineup if I don't have that Mavs news. I think I'm just probably gonna have to, because he's one of the better plays in the slate, and like it's very realistic that all these Q tags these guys play. So like then we're kind of well, there we go.
Well, shit.
Son of a bee.
Right? I feel like that ruins the fun of the whole slate.
It does.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Well, I'm still not playing anyone in the first game. I can tell you that much. The slate doesn't start till 7:30 Eastern from my perspective. All right. Well, that changes things a little bit, so we don't have to talk about all that mess anymore. Still have the Trey thing, and still have the Portland. I think that late game is more important than people think. I think especially like Portland has 2 starters that are questionable, so that would matter a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Tough to talk about that one with 2 guys questionable. But obviously, I mean, I talked about the Atlanta thing already. So let's just now we can kind of talk about this slate as if it's as it is now, basically in lineup HQ. So so definitely Russ now. Like he's a definite. Obviously, I already have him tagged, but now that we know we're not getting Dinwiddie, I definitely want to play him. So those 2 Lakers, and I just wanted to point out just because, and I notice it every time I write an article, like point guard man is just loaded up at the top. Like you have such high upside options, and they're only point guard eligible. Like it's nuts. You have not even counting Luka because he's like in his own tier, but like Kyrie, Dame, SGA, Steph Curry, Trae Young. Like those guys right there, only point guard eligible. Every single one of them is like can get 60, 65 DK points without blinking.
Right.
Like it's just absurd how many good options there are. And like everyone's going to play Russ tonight. Like we're all going to play Russell freaking Westbrook. When you have all those other guys, like all right.
Those guys could literally, and they have done it, like score 50 real life points.
Yes.
And they come in at like, because there's so many options, they come in at like 5% owned. Like Dame just randomly breaks slates sometimes. You're like, shit.
And Russ could easily get 31 DraftKings points tonight because they get blown out, and he's like, okay. So like, it's just that's why if you are willing to take those stands, like that's why it pays to take those stands in tournaments. But yeah, I digress. All right, so both those guys are only point guard eligible. So just some shooting guard only eligible guys that I'm looking at: Burks, Curry, Seth Curry, Anthony Simons, DeJounte, Anthony Edwards. I'm kind of preferring to just try to get someone in as late as possible. So like that would be Simons. It would be DeJounte. Maybe like build around one of those guys and hope something breaks in your favor with who's, because it's not a great position. So Daniel Gaffer got rolled out. Not a lot of movement on that one. If you are a premium subscriber and see our what up projections, not a lot of great stuff popping there. If he's out, it definitely gives higher minutes ceilings to Kuzma, to Porzingis. Anthony Gill's also out. We already knew that one. So like Denny Avdia probably has a higher ceiling as well. So a lot of good tournament options there, but I don't think anything I'm going to talk about for cash games. I'll move it to small forwards, and we're getting somewhat short on time. Aaron Wiggins, already talked about him. He's 3-4, should start again with no Dort. I think he's the preferred option here for sure, especially since we're not waiting on other stuff like a Dorian Finney-Smith, who's fine at 4-6. Harrison Barnes at 5'2" is fine, but probably Aaron Wiggins here for me. Power forward, probably Rui for me now that he's confirmed starting. I would definitely prefer him over DFS. Everything else here is just kind of last piece sort of thing. Like KPD, Sohan, the Spurs guys. Those guys are fine. I think I mentioned Harrison Barnes. But yeah, I just think you play Rui here and move on. All right, center. I think, and I don't think I'm wavering off this, even though Claxton looks a little better. Most of the day, it's pretty much been a Thomas Bryant and Precious Achua center util for me. I don't think I'm wavering off that. If you want to waver off of that, you would do Claxton. That's probably it. That's only center eligible. I'm definitely not playing Powell. I already talked about that on FanDuel. So yeah, I think it's a Precious and Bryant for me, and then Claxton if you don't want to play any of those guys.
Okay, very good. A couple people saying, all right, well now Dinwiddie's out, correct? Now that you're not paying 8.5
he's
for Dinwiddie.
way priced out.
He's super overpriced. Okay. Ice, let's talk tournaments here. And now that Luka is in, is there money to get to him? Because he's expensive as hell and we don't have a whole lot of value, but we know he can drop 80.
Yeah, you can certainly get to him. It's not great. Aaron Wiggins is a guy, like the 3K stuff is really thin tonight. I think there's plenty of stuff in the 5K range that you can build with. Wiggins is really the only viable 3K type punt play. But you have guys like DFS in the 5K range, Precious Achua, Alec Burks. Like, it's not comfortable stuff, but it does a lot. Like, it just lets everything work. And you can certainly build a lineup with Luka tonight. I'm a little concerned about blowout against Detroit and coming off an ankle injury too. Like, I don't think he's a priority for me tonight. He's certainly going to be in my pool, but it's kind of similar to the Embiid situation. A guy that I want to make sure I have some exposure to, but not somebody that I necessarily need to be like double the field on.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. Well, run me through what your plans are here on DK now with the Luka news.
Yeah, so I mean, still same plans. Just now, I know that I can build more comfortably with the Lakers now. So Westbrook, I think I'll be well overweight on him. And then Washington with Gafford out, I am really interested in Porzingis. I think he'll play a little bit of 5 here tonight. Love Kristaps Porzingis, and the minutes, like Meansy said as well, he could play 36 minutes instead of the 31 he's currently projected for. So really like his upside. Love the Sacramento, Minnesota game. And one of my favorite spend ups on the slate. The point guard position, I touched on Fox. Meansy mentioned a bunch of other guys I really like. Lillard and SGA in particular are 2 of my favorites. Mentioned Sabonis for Sacramento as well. Really nice that both Porzingis and Sabonis have power forward eligibility as well on FanDuel. I'm double checking that on DraftKings right now.
Zinger is
Sabonis
is power forward.
Okay. Sabonis is center only on DK, but that's all right because you have the utility spot. So not as big of a deal here on DraftKings. Just wanted to mention they do both have the power forward on FanDuel. Let's see here. Yeah, like a lot of the Dallas stuff, I'm pretty much off of Dallas altogether. I'm still building really heavy with Atlanta and Portland. Trae Young with the questionable tag all day long. Like, nobody's playing Trae Young. I love that. I think you build with some Capella as well. If Nurkic is out, I think he's a fantastic play. Minutes, like we did see him play over 30 minutes in one of his games back. He's kind of been sitting in that 28, 27 range. But there is some room up on that if they want to unleash him. And then on the Portland side, mentioned Dame. But I also like Simons a decent amount here on DraftKings. And then Jeremy Grant, I think, is a fantastic play if Nurkic gets ruled out. Mentioned the price on Eubanks on FanDuel was up there, but on DraftKings, he'd be super cheap. So Eubanks could potentially give you another 3K option if Nurkic were to get ruled out.
Okay, very good. Hey, we talked about with I think the only Laker that we were heavy on here is Russell Westbrook. Are there other guys there that you're interested in?
Yeah, Rui is certainly in play. I think he has room up on his minutes. 4,100, especially on DK, is very much in play. Schroeder is a guy who is going to shoot the ball a ton, huge usage rate. Very interested in him. 5,400 is a great price on DK. He was a little bit pricier on FanDuel, so better play on DK here. And then Thomas Bryant, we did mention. I think he's a fantastic play at 5K.
Okay, and then last question. Booker is still out, right? So is Chris Paul, I mean, can he still drop 60 fantasy points? Is that out of the question?
He can, yeah. It's a tough matchup with Toronto.
Okay.
So I don't love the game environment overall. Ayton is back now. But he still could do it, absolutely. But there's so many other point guards that I want to play. He's not really a priority for me. You could say the same thing about Fred VanVleet on the other side. At 8K, VanVleet could drop 50 really easily. It's just not a game that I have a ton of exposure to, but certainly don't mind any of those guys. Throw Siakam in there. Achua is a great value play. You could stack that game if you wanted to.
Okay, excellent. Guys, anything else you want to add here? We actually took this almost to lock. We've only got 2 minutes left.
Not me.
No? All right.
I'm good.
Let's dive into some QQs. Pulling up the RG Discord here. DK Cash is Rui a must play in DK Cash means?
He's pretty damn close, man. Power forward sucks. Yeah, he's probably more of a, just because of positional stuff, I think he's more of a must play than Bryant now, honestly.
Okay, interesting. NBA DFS says Edwards and Wiggins, or Kuz and Burks, FanDuel Cash. So it's Edwards and
Wiggins doesn't help me.
Who's the Andrew?
He means Aaron. Yeah. Go ahead. Say it again, FanDuel Cash.
It was Edwards and Wiggins or Kuz and Burks. Good point.
I would do the first one.
Also, is Murray okay in FanDuel Cash if Young plays? Good question.
Yeah, he's fine.
Okay, very good. DK Cash means Rui, Jeremy Grant, or D'Lo and OKC Wiggy.
First one.
Meansy, you fading the Fultz revenge narrative tonight?
Avi.
Yeah. Chinatown, DK Cash. Who is a worse spend up in cash? Clickety Clacks at 8-1 or Kyrie at 10-8?
I would go Kyrie just because there's a ton of freaking good guards and and he's just way more expensive.
Okay. Crossover King, single entry, didn't say what site, but Precious and Saboner or Zinger Capella?
Really like them both. It's certainly the first one if Nurkic is out. I lean slightly the second one if Nurkic is in.
Okay, very good. Looking at the YouTube here. We will get to that question post-lock that just came in. Nope, that's an old question. We have somehow caught up on all the questions, even though we spent 2 minutes doing questions. That seems impossible. Any Warriors love? That's a good question. I don't. Ice. Any Warriors love?
Yeah, I want to play some SGA, so I think you run it back for sure. Dort is also out for OKC. OKC's been really good on defense this season, but a lot of that is because of Dort. So don't mind this matchup. Clay is fine at his price. You can always play Steph because of the ceiling. And Draymond has been playing really well. So I don't mind any of those three.
Okay, very good. Kispert off AJ. Oh, Kispert probably or AJ Griffin if you're looking for a cheapie.
Ugh. Definitely AJ Griffin if Trey is out. Let me see what he's projected for right now. Yeah, it's got to be Kispert right now, but not a guy I love to play. He's basically only scores points.
Okay.
If he's not making his three, you're dead.
Gotcha. Meansy, did your pizza just arrive? Did that just happen? Yeah. It's 2 minutes too early. It was like 1 minute too early there, but that's excellent. Okay, I think we are going to bounce on out of here. You're not doing the weird deep dish thing, are you, Means?
No, of course not.
No, good. Okay, good. Because it's weird. Let's be honest. It's a bit, nobody
weird.
likes that stuff. Okay, hey, we're going to bounce on out of here so that Means you can enjoy some pizza. Don't forget to stay tuned. We got plenty of news still to come. Means just living it up on a Monday, man. Wife out of town.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Gonna watch some sports, maybe catch an action movie.
God.
Who knows? The world is your
I'm
oyster,
gonna watch
man.
sports.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch an action movie. I'm gonna watch basketball.
Sounds glorious. For Means, for Ice, for our fantastic production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, primarily, occasionally on the scenes. Really, they're good people, even if they are camera hogs. Guys,
And with that being
He
said,
cut him
you
off.
have been crunched.